Hello, 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 everyone. Mike Arnold here, co-founder, Pat Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacchino. Hello, Wavy. Yeah, there was a deep sell-off today. 200-day is approaching. We shall see, Shashi. Well, what a day. All sectors got clobbered. Yep, waiting for a 200-day MA and NQ, so everybody's waiting for the same thing so far. Why didn't breakers to get triggered on bull markets? Why circuit breakers get triggered when going down? Uh, that's it's because there's an upside bias, and who wants to stop the rallies? You want to stop the declines. You know, I don't want to get started on that. I agree. You know what? When stuff's just ripping your face off rallies, and based off of some news that came out or something else. I think if you're gonna have circuit breakers on the upside, or the downside, you should have them on the upside. But that's a whole nother uh, story. I'm expecting one soon. I don't know what that's in reference to. Oh, let's see. So after the close today, oh, by the way, before we get started, and as I'm getting ahead of myself, by the way, if you're new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing the bell, and hitting the like or dislike button. And don't hit the dislike button because you dislike the markets because of today. We haven't had a circuit breaker since COVID crash, March 2020. No, we haven't had a circuit breaker in a while. Yeah, was it last one was March? So what do we say today? After the close, I'm just keeping an eye, as I mentioned before, interactive brokers. Uh, I'm just looking over here. Not much else. I'll take a glance at JB Hunt, JBHT. But that's I'll probably glance through a couple of those. But tomorrow morning we have Bank of America. Keep an eye out for Bank of America, Morgan Stanley. That's going to be very. It's going to be interesting to see Bank of America that sold off today. It's got a little overdone. I'm still bullish on the banks, not so much on uh, the really big trading banks. Okay, well, the trading firms like Goldman Sachs got destroyed today. They missed on trading revenue too. Morgan Stanley, it'll be interesting tomorrow. So keep an eye on that. These are before the market starts. So those are the major two. I'll look at P&G and US Bank Corp. Glance on that to see overall how we are firming up for the morning. Yesterday, I came on even with the market day off, not the futures day off, because Wavy uses IB too. Yep, I got multiple accounts, but one of them, my major one's with IB. I always have multiple accounts in case something happens with a primary. By the way, if you have a big enough accounts, you should always have multiple accounts. And because if something goes down, things can go down. Even so, if stuff goes down or you can't access one account, especially during major sell-offs, when you might want to do something or hedge, you can always go to another account and put on a downside hedge, which is always good when we have these kind of sell-offs like in the Nasdaq, especially this morning. You can always just hedge your whole long portfolio by putting on something to the short side. You can either even do an inverse ETF. You can short some of the futures. Whether if you're a small trader, you can short the micros or the minis. You can always hedge. That's why it's also good to have another account, because if one of my primaries can't get accessed, I can access a secondary, at least put on hedges to offset in the primary account that I can't access. So that's always something to keep in mind. We've talked about other ways to protect yourself. By the way, here's the 10-year notes. I came on yesterday, and just switching monitors here. Came on yesterday and talked about the one area for concern was the sell-off in the notes, and that continued today. And look, notes. This is never. I can't say never. It's not a strong positive sign when things close on their absolute lows or very near their absolute lows. We I will be watching for any continued follow through. Next key levels are 127 with a harmonic, and then 126.21 and a half. And then majors down here at 126. Here's your yields. Sorry, I have to jump up and close my door. I had one of the dogs in here. I couldn't get out of here before I started the live stream. But here you go. Look at this. I mean, this is just a massive move. Again, above this next harmonic. What was the high today in 10-year yields? 188.7. We had 188.0. Above there, if this does continue, I mean, look at this. We might not even get a divergence up here. If this keeps going, it's 193.9. But you see, there's the 30-year yields look to be breaking out from their highs back in, potentially breaking out, I should say, in October. We already looked at the 10 years. There's the 5 years just moving on up. I mean, not to quote, when was that sitcom? Moving on up to the east side to a deluxe apartment. I used to live on the Upper East Side in New York. There we go, and there's the 2 year. So yields across the board just rallying really strong. And look, there's that next target. I can't even do anything. We don't even have a pausing. Look at this 2 year. We do on the 4 hour, so we've already seen how that's hit. I didn't get to look at this earlier. It's been a very busy day, but yields all the way up. Things are getting overheated. This is why it's great to trail a stop on these things, and especially trail a stop if you're short to the downside. Can this keep going lower? Yeah. Is it getting a little overdone? Now, I did a lot of research. Oops, wrong one. I did a lot of research today. There's not a lot outside of some still some tech stocks. There's not a lot of shorts out there. And a lot of times these rallies, there are some shorts that we could get at some point. Once it's overdone, you can get a mini short squeeze. But overall, broad market, there's not a ton of shorts. Great platform with IBKR, by far the best commissions and execution here in Canada. And I pretty much agree with you here in the U.S. Market itself will continue until we see 2% on a 10-year. I mean, if we see 2% in the next week or so, we can. But if we don't get a pause before it, then this market's in for a world of hurting even after a bounce. And remember, we're in the Fed quiet period. So we have the meeting on the 26th of January, and they are in the quiet period. So you can't have any Fed speakers or anything else. So you can't have any trying to jawbone the markets up from a Fed perspective. You can only have ancillary people, but not from a Fed perspective, try to talk the market back up off the ledge. Let's see. Do you miss your days as a market maker? No. 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 That would be a no. I think I answered that one. So let's see what everything was down. The S&P down 1.7%. Nasdaq big hit, down 2.33. Dow, which was the warm porridge or the hot porridge, down only 1.44%. Russell down nearly 3. Wow, look at this Russell real quick. Look at that Russell. We've bounced, remember? Look at all these. This is the first. So soften. Look how long this has held. This has been holding. Those Russell key lows have been holding on a closing basis since March. So we're going on like 10 months. And it finally broken with a close. Next key level in the Russell is about 2060. You get below 2060 on a close, and because look at this. I just want to show you, and I'm not saying that'll happen this week, but just even with a bounce and then a rollover, look at this on a weekly basis. You now a rotation zone, which moved to the short side a few weeks ago, but it's still in consolidation, so I don't really do anything with it. But now with this breakdown, it'll be starting to watch shorting rallies. If you get below here, look at this. You have this minor stopping point there, and then you don't have anything down until you get to the 50% level of this run-up. So that could unravel pretty quickly. Sorry, I'm jumping around a little, but when you get to stuff like this, here's interesting too, the S&P, normally I wouldn't do this till the end of the week or Sunday, but look, we're back down to the rotation zone, which if I take off, hold on, hide just drawings. if I take off this softened here, softened here, softened here, getting really soft here. So we're getting to a clear line in the sand where this could break, and especially below about this 45-40 area, we're into a clear path move lower with about one major stopping point, about 44.44. That's what's key to watch. You can see daily is now shifted to bearish, which means that doesn't mean you can't get rallies. That just means we're looking on rallies to sell rollovers instead of, on the way up you buy the dips. This you start selling the rollovers as long as it doesn't get back to neutral. To get back to neutral, it'd be above 46.83 area. So keep that in mind too. Here's what it looks like. We had this key trend line that I didn't do a redraw of yet because this was pretty substantial. And even with the redraw at this point, because that's broken, but we're right at that defining point. Now the S&P's got some little more room. It could easily get down to even this 4,500 area without it being bearish mode without triggering catastrophe. Down below this 45.05 area, especially on a closing basis, you have a clear path right down here. You have some minor stopping points here and here, but overall, could unravel quickly, and you have the 200 back at 44.17. So remember yesterday I also bumped up my bullish line in the sand. We had Europe open. Here's Europe end of Asia session, then Europe opening right here. End of Asia session started selling off. European open. We got this little flag off the open, which I posted in Discord, and then just that didn't help hold for long. Here was the opening, and then it was just ugly since that time. Only little fun play today on the upside was this little double bottom, which triggered, went to targets, and then the whole thing rolled over again. So, as I said, ugly, ugly, ugly. It was interesting to watch these little flag patterns. I was seeing if it was going to hold and attempt to rally up again, but with this selling on the open, bounced back to the 5-minute rotation zone and then just cascading lower. And you see here, until this little run up that tried into 2 p.m. Central, just holding the 15-minute lower. Now, is this a double bottom pattern? It's got a hitch in here. We'll get to this comments in a second. We have this, let me remove some of these levels to clear up the charts for a minute. Let me just see here. I don't like it with that hitch, but I don't mind trading these in when we're coming down here. You can start to see some divergences forming on the 1 hour. We're starting to run out of momentum down here, and we are oversold on the 4 hour, oversold in the 1 hour, and hitting oversold on the daily. And when we get down to these levels, I start watching for a potential bounce. Now, I need some confirmation. That's why I do like this double pattern just from that perspective. So I'm going to start watching. We get back above. We start getting back above about 45.90. I'm paying really close attention to stuff to the long side. We get a key close about 45.95. Then, we have this little rotation hitch in here, but technically this is the move that started it, this longer move here. And we have the first stop raise right here. So that's going to be an interesting play. And then we come up here and we have this little support becoming resistance. So that could be a nice little play to the upside if we do get the bounce. And look at this, just on a daily basis, I have the retracements from this last little sell-off. The 62.5 is all the way back at 46.71 with the declining rotation zone. So this would have a lot of work to do to even get back into watching for now a return to this 4,700 mark. But this is where in distribution tops, you know, you have to be nimble and quick, and we could get strong intraday reversals still coming into this. Well, we're still in this. Well, even in any bar market, you get strong intraday reversals, but especially in these distribution patterns, it's like trying to hold on. We got to hold the bull case. We got to hold the bull case so you can get these rallies. And I still think we're going to see a rally that sucks people back in, especially in the S&P. Now Nasdaq's a whole different story with that. Because of the it's got a lot to chew through, but you can suck some people into the techs again. Lower here, if we break today's low 45.29, then about 44.98, so about 4,500. Below 4,500, there is nothing. I mean, we have this key level right here, about 44, 44, 44, 46, and then we have the 200 simple, 44.17. And even if we continue this down move tomorrow with those bonds closing on their lows, I would be surprised if we got through 4,500 on a closing basis. Let's see what, oops. Hey, Dan Jet, how are you doing? Let's see. Where can we see the last decade of historical yield information? There's websites. I have them in bookmarks. You can look it up. Just look up 10-year historical yield chart. I think you can go to barchart.com. I think they have it too. So you can take a look at that. S&P held by FANGs and few half-trillion-dollar companies. If they give up, we're headed down for sure. And I think they will roll over again. I went through a lot of valuations today. Okay, a lot of things, even in stuff that would be considered values, and so many valuations of even safer companies are really high. That's the other problem. There's not a lot of stuff that's decent valued, even in some of the safer plays that are all overvalued. So we start getting a broad market sell-off. Now I did that sector analysis, and that still holds. And when there's something still bucking the trend and going against the trend, and has strength, or holding up better than others in these sell-offs, that's fine, and it can rally on moves, and those are the ones you should play. But overall, what has me more worried is there's not a lot of great valuation out there. Especially with this inflation metrics, there's just not. So we could really get a big cascading move down at some point in this, and I do expect it. And Bob said later this year, he's not committing to a timing yet, but we could have the bigger downdraft in the markets. But this is getting the warning shots. S&P still in consolidation. The targets I'll be using tomorrow are those double targets should it trigger. And then above that, if we did get above that, the key areas is 50% of this down move, which would be about 46.50. Oh boy, switching over to the Nasdaq. We also had that flag pattern, this little spike that faked a lot of people out right off the open. So, thanks, sorry, the dog. A couple dogs got it. My wife was on a conference call and they just came out of her office. And I had my door open because I had some of the dogs in here before the live stream and I didn't want to get up and disappear from the camera. Although a lot of people probably would have applauded that move, then they wouldn't have to look at me anymore. So flag, we got broke down, little rip your face off move, which also in the company that shall not be named, a real big run up in that. Then it just cascaded down. Again, we had this 15,174 area. I put on that from the lows from the European session prior to the open. And you can see here, you had this high from the 12th. You can really see it right here. This high from the 12th area to the lows in the European session. And then that gave me a 15,174.25. So if you're wondering how to recreate those levels, there's that key high. Remember, this is a key swing going back. You can see this little pause right above the 15,222, then the 174 was the low. We're getting divergences on the 1 hour. Nothing yet on the 4 hour. This is where I start watching though for a bottoming pattern. 1 hour, we don't have any double or anything else yet though, like we do in the S&P. So on a rally, my first play would be using the double in the S&P. Now for the Nasdaq, where I'll be watching for potential bullish, at least a short-term bullish play, is about 15,375 area. 15,375. You see that's at the top of the 4 hour rotation zone. We get through there. I'm targeting 15,456 in conjunction with the top of the rotation zone, which will continue lower tonight. Above that, I'll watch for about 15,621. This, by the way, let me get out to this daily. We had a potential double. I moved this down though. Remember, I moved this down, and now it's not a potential double anymore because the second and third targets are beyond, into the wicks and beyond. So we don't have a potential big double on the daily chart anymore. Key level for tomorrow to the downside though, actually I'm going to revise this, and we're going to a little reverse harmonic here. If we break below today's lows, I'm watching for 15,090 and then 15,027. Then we have a major cluster, a major area about this 14,960 to about 14,985. If we come down and test that 200 that was talked about in the comments when we first started this stream, this is a close in the clear path. Doesn't mean it has to tank tomorrow, but it does mean that longer term, even on rallies, we're into an area with very little support. Your only support is that 200, and then down beyond that 14,886. Then beyond 14,886, we're actually down to about 14,592. So I just watched 14,600. Rallies, your major resistance areas now, besides that 4 hour we just looked at, you know, you can watch that, the top of the 4 hour at 15,491, and then this 15,621. Above there, you have a little clear path move, which would just, let me get off some of these other levels that don't matter anymore. Clear path move. So your next area to watch would be about 15,840. I will really be paying attention to, though, the 4 hour. We don't have a divergence with this low yet because it's now pushing lower with the RSI. But if we bounce and then make a lower low and then move off of it, I will watch for a potential rally divergence play. And again, your daily rotation zone's 15,621. So even on a rally back to here, this is key prior support becoming resistance with the declining rotation zone, and we are in bearish mode on the Nasdaq on a daily basis. So it's, again, watch, even if you take advantage to stuff the upside, it's manage it with very tight stops because we will watch for another rollover move. Dow, just really quick, back below this, we're into a single candle. The major support on the Dow, we have the 200, a trend line, and this end of clear path move coming in about 34,900 to 34,860. So that's key support now on the Dow. Just keep that in mind. And you have a harmonic right there. So we have a fair amount of support down here. Should it continue lower, that will be my target area on the Dow tomorrow. It does look, oh, that's horribly sloppy, but I'm going to put it on there because, again, I am watching for some potential rallying. This could happen overnight, though. And my real bullish line is, I guess I'm going to bring it down to about here. I'll keep watching this, but that might be invalid by tomorrow's session. On a move up, you got about 35,518, 35,575, 35,633. Let's see where that sits. Your first 4 hour target is roughly right there, so would not ignore that. And then, oh, these markets are just ugly, which probably means we'll get one of those rallies tomorrow. 35,600 would be a pretty substantial target. Above there, I'd just be watching the other side of the 4 hour rotation zone. Currently sitting about 35,735, but that will head lower. Dow's now in bearish mode on the daily. So yeah, any rally to this 35,920 is just back to the now bearish rotation zone. But really on a continued sell-off, I'm watching this 200, this other trend line, the end of the clear path, and the harmonic. So there's a lot of key support down there. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, I was going to get to that. ATVI buyout news from Microsoft today. So let's take a look at both those. We have Activision. So Activision came from this massive double down, first and second target, and then we got the buyout. And so, I mean, they're buying it. They're good. They were going to do a cash at 95, I think. So that's the key thing. What's interesting is this even sold off, but this is not something I'd be with the offer. This is not something you want to try to do with a gap play or anything else. So keep that in mind unless the offer falls apart. Here's Microsoft, which is buying it out, but they, no little trying to get a bullish bounce, nothing there. I'm really watching Microsoft to come down to its 200, which right now is about 292. This area, I'm watching to see how that holds at this point for a potential and then even if it dips down this 50 week, but I'm going to watch there and see if we get it with oversold on a weekly, if we get any potential short-term buy patterns. Keep in mind it is bearish now on the daily. So there's Microsoft and ATVI. Did you watch TKLF? No, I did not. Did not watch TKLF today. Well, that's some wild price action. That was some wild price action back and forth. I did not check that out. I was too busy with other stuff. Let's see what else we have. Rich, the Tech TNX. There's your CBO. That's the CBOE 10-year Treasury note yield, which we already looked at the futures note yield, and of course they're all going to pretty much trade in tandem. So yeah, that's just what when we looked at, I like to look at the futures ones, but you can easily look at that too. That's fair enough. Breaking above this key thing. Actually, this is pretty much the same chart, but this is a little more. This has longer term price action than the futures that just started. You can see your major resistance is up right around this 195 area, the first area of major resistance. NTR. Yep. And there was the next harmonic target on that. Coming back, this could actually be interesting still on some pullbacks. Again, we've talked about chemicals. You have ag in there, so this could be still interesting, starting a rally on pullbacks, especially coming into the spring. So keep an eye on this one, NTR. Do we even have a pausing bar? I mean, it came back to, you had the harmonic here, the prior support becoming resistance above there. Making a couple notes there for myself. Above there, my next major target would be about 76.50. Beyond that, in case you want longer term, in case we don't look at this, it's not what I'm going to look at all the time. I'd be up about 78, 78 is my next target, but you start getting above this little support becoming resistance shelf. There's not much to stop it before 76.54. CF. Yeah, I need CF to start getting, let's little bounce off the weekly rotation zone. There's just, it's holding here. I just don't have a play yet for it. I mean, technically this was a percent B play. I guess I do have a play for it because it just triggered a buy signal. The challenge with this is we have a fair amount of overhead resistance. So this did trigger an aggressive buy signal right here. You'd have to move up your stop though, pretty much at 69.50 and then play this really close to the vest. So that's CF Industries. Check out PHUN or DWAC. PH Funware. That's not really doing anything for me now. Come back to me if we start getting above. If it can start getting above about 391, maybe I look at something for a little pop play above there. DWAC. Where? Now DWAC is a little more interesting. Don't know anything about it. Digital World Acquisition Corp. Know nothing about it. But breaking out. I don't know. As long as this area holds, it could be interesting for a play. A little short-term play to the upside. But again, it's now overbought. And again, there's just not a lot of price action. I'd rather place in these market conditions something a little more substantial. DWAC was on fire today. Again, I know nothing about DWAC. Blank check company. Okay. This is all just another speculative. Again, I probably won't be doing anything with it, but that's your key line in the sand with the rising rotation zone. Let's just see, there's your 50% level above, so really, and then above that, I'd be watching for the 113 if it gets there. Nothing that I'm interested in, though. It's a Trump spec, yeah. I'm just not interested in it. This is just pure, especially in this. Bank stock looks over, sold like Goldman Sachs, JP. Well, Goldman Sachs had earnings today. It's got this key line in the sand. You see, I have an alert there, actually. Key line in the sand down here. Just be an aggressive play. It would trigger a buy above today's high, aggressive play. And I just target on any bounce, especially still with banks. I don't think, as long as Goldman holds this 348 area, I wouldn't mind playing this on a upside with some potential gap fills, but it'd have to get above today's high. Okay, again, its earnings came out. It missed on earnings. Revenue beat, but then their trading didn't go as well as expected. It's getting a little oversold, so again, I would not mind to see a bounce in this, and it could be a really nice short-term play in that. JPM, as long as it really holds your 146 area, you're okay. This is just a huge, big consolidation. But this, I play Goldman Sachs before anything else, and then this is just ugly still. This is just ugly. Even when a rally, it's just not as clean as chart. You have a gap. You have a couple big gaps, but it's got some work to do. I'll keep this in a longer term watch to see if we get some kind of other bottoming play in this. Uh, I don't trade it, but meme names always in the news, and I've stopped paying attention to them because they it was big in AMC and GameStop and the Hop in the DWC, and again we try to focus here on things that are actually have some semblance of decency instead of just that it's a meme stunk. Uh, Overall. I mean, you have AMC with the insiders. I mean, I was looking the other day, and this is no longer a. Maybe it is. It's might yeah, it still might be a potential double bottom, but there is nothing to do here. And AMC, I think there's been all insider sales from management and no insider buys over the last year and a bit. Everything's been a sell. That should tell you something. So there's your AMC. Just gonna watch this bleed out. GameStop, same thing. We had that little, what was that? What was this pump and dump here? That was after hours that they said they were getting into something. I forget at this point. But I'm just watching these. The pumps don't even last long. You had that one pump with, what were they getting into? NFTs or some other silly thing. And it's just bleeding down. Should update it to here, actually. So I did get into Jan 2023 Leap call spread in DISCA. Discovery, Discovery, I mean, triggered that double that we had on here, pulled back really nice to the base and moving up. I think this is a good longer term play. Even I don't have I actually like that. A 2023 leap call spread. This could have some room to still run. It's trying to put in a longer term base pattern. You had this double. Now you have the bigger double. It's getting back above the key moving averages. So even on a pullback, that doesn't really bother me. I do like that play. Yeah, thanks. That was an NFT pump and dump. I thought it was something like that. There's Every good meme is pulling the NFT crypto card. Yeah, they're just trying to get they're trying to suck people in to give them the hope that, and then insiders just keep selling into this crap. Amazon. Then I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm really tired. Amazon. Huh? You got a real aggressive buy and a close above today's high, and then we do have another potential double. Now it's sloppy as all get out. But your first target, because of this extra all this rotate, you don't have a clean move here, but it could be playable to the upside. And what's nice is it's out of the way of the daily rotation zone. Weekly is rolling over, could be actually out of the way if this doesn't trigger right away out of the way of the weekly. So that could be something to watch for. Aggressive buy above today's high, though, very aggressive because you have to keep a stop below today's low. And that's only on a closing basis. And it would definitely have to be raising going into the daily rotation zone because even though you have a potential double here, we get bounce up here, roll back down, and form a triple. The nicer thing is if we do get some kind of rally on and some kind of positive news comes out with Amazon, earnings aren't till the third. This triggers a long way off, so gives us plenty of time to prepare and look at some price action before that triggers. Sure. Then I'm going to wrap this up. So no more No more after Raj's LHX, L3 here. Yeah, that's nice bullish formation. That's nice, actually. This is they're getting to potentially overbought, but no divergence yet. That was nice. Pull back to rotation zone. Let's just see what the targets. This is something I keep an eye on longer term, even with pullbacks. Oh, that's nice. And then you get above. Oh, I'd love to see is 231.05. Then a pullback to reload. That's against this resistance shelf. That could be nice. This is the last little thing. Then you have an advanced clear path move all the way up here to the prior double area. So this is nice. Even on pullbacks to your 4-hour rotation zone, I'd like to see a little pause and let the daily catch up, but back to this 225 area is still definitely viable. With it's now back above the 200. You have some key resistance becoming support here, so you see how it slammed in here. Resistance, support now broken out, retested. So yeah, next target, if you're already long this, I'd move up a stop at 231.05. But this is definitely playable as long as it remains above the daily rotation zone. That's really nice because you can get a great stop down here at 270, 217. LMT, Lockheed, I've been bullish on this for a long time. Finally got the gap filled. This is still a buy on pullbacks for me. So I still have an alert there. If we get the bigger pullback, you're up against key resistance overbought now. But this on some, you're starting to get the first cross of the weekly rotation zone. Love to see now a nice little pullback and reload and then running up to there. I just have some notes on here for me. So yeah, I love LMT on pullbacks. And RTX. Raytheon. You get. I haven't looked at Raytheon in a little while, but you start getting above this 93 area, it could make a run. It could definitely make a run above that 93 area. Now that's one I'd love to see again. A break, at least even an intraday retest on another day, and then a roll up higher. That could be a great play to the upside. You can see here basing right at the top. So this, in the bigger picture of stuff, you can see here, even on the monthly, you had this prior resistance that had the big sell-off coming back up, and this has been since June, July, August, making this huge monthly top just below this key resistance area and moving up into it. That could be I definitely, if you're into something to watch for, a nice little breakout play, holding up nicely even with this selling. And it's another aerospace defense, which looks like it's, and again, we just looked at Lockheed Martin. You got some money flowing into there. We have some interesting geopolitical situations, so those could continue to attract money. All right, let me just look at it. ARCT, yeah, ARCT. Get ARC. Wow, ARCT. You get back below. Whew. ARCT. Oh, it even closed below there. I'd be watching for a run back to this 2487 area, then lower. This is sell the rallies on this one. ARCT is definitely sell the rallies. Not touching that at all. All right, thank you, Raj. I'll show up every day, even if I'm tired. Yep. And if you want to support the channel, remember we have Patreon, we have Super Chats, we have Buy Me a Coffee. Any way you want to do to support the channel, to keep things going and keep it expanding, please consider doing that. I know a number of you do. Oh, I can check on crude. Okay, that's it. No more after crude. Crude is just, to me, keep ratcheting up the stops. We went through, we paused at that cluster, I mean, that harmonic earlier. I was looking at this earlier. Then we just power move. I'm still watching a lot higher prices. Would not be surprised to see a pullback. Although right now we're above this major resistance shelf. See here? We're back above there. So even a pullback, you know, as long as it holds, see, I'm going to move this down to the whole move now. So as long as we pretty much hold, I got to go to her. I already have the reverse up there. Or do I have the other harmonic? Hold on. I got to go with the reverse for this one. As long as we roughly hold this 83 area, I'm in super bullish. If we did, then I'd start watching back to pull back to about 80. But above here, even on a minor pullback, I am really, really bullish crude. The only concern is it's getting severely overbought, but no sell signal yet. No topping pattern yet. So this is where my only thing is you got to trail stop. Now, it would be if we got a close below today's low, it would be a take profit signs and then watch for a reload pullback pattern. Yeah, the 20 moving average will need to catch. This is where it's getting overdone. And remember, two kind of corrections. We could just move and pull back and hold up around here and move sideways and let this catch up. And if that happens, then I'm really watching for a resumption of trend move. Because longer term, next area is 91, this 91 area. And then, well, I got to wrap this up so I can get to the company that shall not be named. Yeah, we're at 91, then 98. They're your next targets, the upside. So even on a pause or a pullback, again, super bullish on crude. And unless something shifts, there's you just got to trade with the trend and trail stops and wait for add-on entries or pullback entries. With that, thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending. And I will see everybody who wants to watch in the company that shall not be named. And we'll have another market overview tomorrow. Stay safe. Manage your position sizes wisely. And if you can, follow the intraday price action because of the way we are in this distribution market right now. Reversals, either bullish or bearish, can happen quickly and fast. Goldman Sachs said oil will reach $100 this year. I actually think it'll reach potentially higher. Thank you, Sonic, and I'll talk to everyone later. Bye for now.